The Chancellor is expected to announce that shops will be allowed to open for longer on Sundays when he delivers his budget on Wednesday. Let's stay with that story now. Let's go live to Oxford Street, where we're joined by Jace Tyrrell from the New West End Company. It represents retailers on some of the capital's busiest shopping streets. Also, joining us from Liverpool is John Hannett, General Secretary of USDOR, the Shop Workers Union. Thank you, gentlemen, both, for joining us. Jace Tyrrell, if I can start with you, is this just an opportunity where you lick your lips and rub your hands and think, great, we've got 8 weeks of more intense trading to come?
Well, obviously, it's fantastic news for London retailers and West End retailers. Obviously, we've got a huge international opportunity this summer with a million extra people coming to London and a lot of shoppers that will want to shop outside of those 6 hours which are currently regulated. So good news, obviously, for retailers, and good news for the millions extra people that will be here in the summer as well.
But aren't those 6 hours on the Sunday in the original act, isn't that enough? I mean, people do plenty of shopping on Sunday as it is. Do we really need a full, long 9 to 7 day?
Well, I think you look at where we are internationally now. There's a lot of cities around the world, Shanghai, other places in the Middle East that open much later, and a lot of international visitors expect the stores to open late. Of course, online shopping is 24 hours a day, so I think if there's a demand by shoppers to shop more than the 6 hours on a Sunday, then obviously it's an opportunity for retailers to benefit from that. And from the research we've done, we think there could be an extra £180 million boost to London retailers over the summer with those extra hours on the Sundays during the Olympics.
Well, certainly it's worth noting it's 6:30 in the evening and there's plenty of people out on the streets of Oxford Street behind you, and there's only one reason to be there, and that's to go shopping. So that's clearly backed up to an extent. But what about employees? They might feel pressured to work on Sundays now, the full day, and that might put stress on their family lives.
Well, I think what we're looking at and what the Chancellor is announcing is those 8 Sundays over the Olympic period. I think that debate about Sunday trading more generally needs to happen at some point, but what we're focused on is the announcement today and this week with the budget that will boost us during the Olympic time.
And you think for that crucial 8 weeks it's going to mean a lot for retail to have the shops open longer?
Well, I think our estimates and our forecasts, particularly with this unique mix of international visitors that will come to London that do want to shop into the evenings, about £180 million extra for London retailers. You think about the stadiums out there in East London, the big shopping centre, Westfield, all those people coming through, and yet if the shops are closed at 6 in the evening, obviously they can't benefit from that. So very much welcome for East London and also for us here in the West End. OK, let's go up to Liverpool now. Speak to John Hannett from USDOR. What do you make of these plans, John Hannett? Do you think it is a stealth plan with an eye on the longer picture behind it?
Well, this is not a new debate. In fact, if you look last year, this was debated both with the public, with the retailers, and of course with USDOR members. There's no appetite for further deregulation. In fact, we've got the most deregulated hours in Europe, and this is about work-life balance. This is about, in effect, giving a proper break for retail workers who work exceptionally hard. There's a confused message, actually. We don't know whether this is about the 8 weeks or this is a Trojan horse to get further deregulation. So this is why we'll be meeting the politicians next week to clarify their position.
What do you suspect their position is?
Well, it's interesting. If you look at what was called the red tape challenge last year, there was a very clear indication from the public, from USDOR members, from retailers, that there was no appetite for further deregulation. So the question has to be really asked of the politicians, is this about the Olympics per se? And yet all day we've heard briefings coming out of the political people that this is about more than that. This is about deregulation on a wider scale. And you know, if you work in retail and you think of the large stores, 6 hours, it's not as though the public hasn't got the opportunity for shopping. This is about striking the right balance for workers. And it's ironic, on Mother's Day, we're debating an issue where we're trying to get a balance for shop workers to have a break. I think that's perfectly reasonable in this day and age.
Is it not, on the other hand, John Hannett, a chance for, in these hard times, people to chalk up a bit of overtime if they want to?
Well, our members, it was interesting today, I was at a very big conference in USDOR, and we debated this with our members. Their experience is that there is an issue about earnings, but there's an issue also about spending time with the families, about being able to do the things that are necessary from a personal and a family point of view. You know, the government have explained that they want to be a family-friendly government. This is an interesting debate we're having here now when we've got the most deregulated hours. Let's have a balance here about the retail workers. If you look at retail now, you can trade 7-day, 24 hours. Christmas Eve has been pushed back later. You've got the sales starting Christmas Eve and straight after Christmas Day. Our members have told us 91% of the survey we carried out said this is a step too far. We're hearing nothing from the major retailers that believe this is a good idea. I know that your speaker's talking about the West End. I'm looking on this as a national issue. This is about giving workers a fair balance, and we need to get this in proportion. The most deregulated hours, let's have a fairness in this.
Well, it was mentioned earlier on, wasn't it, that we should become more like Dubai and Shanghai rather than perhaps like Rome or Paris, which are still pretty quiet on a Sunday.
Well, we're talking here in the UK, we're talking about extended hours, as I've explained. We're talking about retail workers working over 7-day, 24 hours. It's about being fair to retail workers. And if the government are listening to their own evidence, which was taken in the Red Tape Challenge last year, the reality is that there was not an appetite for further deregulation. In fact, I was listening to a phone in today, caller after caller believe the balance is right. And I'm here to make the point on behalf of retail workers. Let's give them an appropriate break and have the right balance.
John Hannett from Usdaw, thanks very much indeed for joining us. Our thanks also to Jace Tyrrell there on a still a very busy Oxford Street tonight.